Two. All right. I'm State Representative Jesse Chisholm, representing the 85th House District of the Tennessee General Assembly. So, two. So my district, it goes from 3rd Street, take Shelby Drive and State Line Corridor. Two. From 3rd Street all the way to Byhalia Road. So I have one of the biggest and blackest districts in the state. So it's an honor to be here. The committees I sit on currently, I currently sit on the state committee as well as the local government committee now, which they moved me off of agriculture and commerce. So I'll be passing it along.
I'm Rachel Spriggs. I'm running for school board in District 1. I'm the only experienced educator in that race. And so I think that's big with where we are with our educational crisis. I have two babies, a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, Vincent and Victoria. I'm also the wife to an educator, Vincent. I need y'all to get this name, Vincent Spriggs, who's here with us. He is also an educator and a mentor. We have made a lot of decisions as a family that has definitely been filtered through the lens of education in mentorship. We just really have been intentional about where we live, to making sure that children get more than one quality teacher. We've taught some of the same students and their siblings, and we do a mentor program out of Menanzas High School, and sometimes Dave Wells is also. Anyway, my platform is all about transparency, accountability, teacher support. With me being an educator, that's really big. We have vacancies everywhere all over the district, and that's nationwide, but I care about Memphis Shelby County schools and how the teachers feel there. So anyway, I'm getting ready to wrap this up, but I do ask you all for your vote. A vote for me is a vote for integrity, a vote for an individual that's passionate about prioritizing children and putting them first again.
Hello, everybody. I am Tiffany Perry. I am a candidate, the right candidate, running for school board to represent District 6. So that is Whitehaven, Westwood, South Memphis, and Riverside. I am the current chief of staff at the oldest, most prestigious HBCU in the state of Mississippi, Russ College. I'm the former public information officer for Shelby County Schools, so I've worked at the district level and had the experience of navigating that difficult space. And I have been a longtime education advocate for equitable education for students. I used to run the NFL Play 60 program, where I went across this country implementing and advocating for physical education resources and curriculum in K through 12 schools across the country. So about 3 years ago, my husband and I, we packed up our bags, left Texas. We chose Memphis because I wanted to come back and give back to the school district and the community that did so much for me. So hopefully after hearing from me tonight, you all will find that I am the right choice to be your next school board representative to represent District 6.
I am Keith Williams. I am a 44-year educator from the Memphis and Shelby County Schools. I retired in 2015. I took on the job at the Teachers Union representing over 6,000 teachers in this district as the executive director, initially as the president. After my presidency, I did retire from the district after having worked 44 years in the field of education and at all levels of this district, from the curriculum department to the chair of the English department to mentoring teachers to the power panel to PD, all of that I've done. And that is why I'm so passionate about what I see now in this school system. I do know that we can do better. I do know that there's a better way to educate children because I was an educator when children were learning. And I believe this. If you teach them, they will be taught. But if you play, they are not going to be taught. We cannot become like the rest of this society. This school system must maintain its integrity. We must maintain a transmission of the proper culture for our children. And that is what I am about. I have two grown children, both of them are doctors. One is a dentist right up here on the Evans President, and the other is a principal at one of the charter schools. My wife is a 43-year educator. She's been at Stoughton School for 42 years, that one school. That is unheard of today. But I tell you, this school system, and I'll say this and I'm done, is in peril. And it does need a new face, a new look, and it needs to be about teaching and learning, and nothing else. And that is my pledge to you tonight.
He asked me, am I a candidate? And you know what? I have had to say that on the campaign trail the entire time. My name is Jennifer Fitzgerald, and I'm running for judge in Criminal Court Division 2. And I do have to tell you that I have been practicing for almost 15 years. And I have to tell you that because everyone thinks that I'm 16 years old. And apparently he thought that I was 16 years old too. But yes, I've been practicing for almost 15 years, so I'm very experienced. The seat that I'm running for was previously held by Judge Otis Higgs, and when he passed away, Judge Glenn Wright took over this seat. And so now Judge Glenn Wright is retiring. He's endorsing me for this position. And so for the past 25 years, there's been a competent, experienced African-American judge in this seat, and we're trying to make sure that it remains that way. The reason that I'm running for judge is because over my years of practice, I've noticed that the majority of the people who come through the system look like me, but they're not treated the same. So I want to fix that. I want to make sure that everyone comes in the courtroom is treated fairly and that they're treated with dignity and respect. And this is a very, very long ballot. There are going to be over 40 judicial positions. But there's one easy way to remember me, and that's to vote for your girl Fitzgerald. Vote for your girl Fitzgerald, and you will make sure you remember me. So, again, vote for your girl Fitzgerald. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Page. I'm a candidate for School Board District 6, a former educator of 25 years, president of the West Memphis Education Association for 3 years, and currently the president of the Westwood Neighborhood Association. I'm running to bring back respect back to the classroom, to support our educators, to bring discipline back to the schools, and also to teach our kids how to read, write, and complete arithmetic. Your vote for David Page, candidate for school board.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Terrence Tatum. I'm running for judge in General Session Division 13. Now, I've been an attorney for over 26 years, and I've been working for the public defender's office for the last 21 years. So I know all the things that goes on in those courts, and I've represented everyone from the public intoxication up to a murder case. So I've done everything that needs to be done down there. My next question is to have you all put me in the seat that I can make a difference as a judge in Division 13. Easy to remember, when you go to the polls, remember the 3 T's, Terrence, Tatum, and 13. Lucky 13 for Terrence Tatum. Thank y'all.
Protocol very quickly. I want to say thank you to all of our homiletic, exegesis-sizing preachers here for hosting this event. And they may not know this, but this is great preaching weather. I'm Robert Hill. I'm the retired executive director for the Shelby County Trustee's Office. And I'm here representing my brother and friend, Judge Tarek Sugarman. He sends his apologies. Tonight he had an event with Micah, and I'm more than able to answer any questions concerning juvenile court in his budget. And so thank you once again. He is running not because he's looking for a job, but yet he's wanting to step up to the job to serve our black children. And so for so many years, almost 60 years to be exact, we have not had representation in juvenile court. Our children are not properly adjudicated, and I'll be frank, our black men aren't properly adjudicated. We have black men who are on child support for children that aren't their children. And we have young black boys and girls who are being sent to adult incarceration simply because they do not or cannot afford legal representation, as well as do not have mentorship or the guidance needed to keep them from coming to juvenile court to begin with. And Tarek is doing his best to try to turn this race around. So thank you for the cordial invite, and I look forward to any questions that may be asked.
Hello, my name is Harold C. Smith, and I'm running for Shelby County Clerk. I'm a seasoned educator. I worked in the Legacy Memphis City School and Shelby County Schools as a principal, coach, special ed teacher, as well as a hearing officer. So I've been in the school system since '94, and I'm getting ready to leave. And I want to serve as the Shelby County Clerk. You all know the issues and the woes of this office. I have a plan of action. As a matter of fact, my plan of action is being used right now because we're doing appointment times now. Well, we wanted to do appointment times 2 years ago, but it wasn't heard of. I want to get in and refurbish the Shelby County Clerk's office. I want to hire new people because we don't have a full staff. I want to have some kiosks in the public libraries. They are doing it in Nashville, Kroger stores. They're doing it in Atlanta, and we also want to have in your Walmarts. And they haven't done it in Walmart, so I want to be the first to do it in Walmarts. Those are stores and facilities that are open. They're inside, and they're accessible. We as a city, we are a third shift city. And so people don't always have the time to take off work to go and do those things, especially with renewals. Everybody doesn't have cable or Wi-Fi. And so with these kiosks, we want to have them, because I'm a special ed teacher, what's near and dear to me is hearing impaired and vision impaired people. And that would also encompass our elderly. So I want to do those things. It's not going to cost the taxpayers all this money the way people are saying. It's being done, it's implemented, the mainframes are there, the technology is there, and I want to make sure that the people that are working to implement the technology and are servicing the technology look like us. That's something that I'm always big on. You know, you got to empower your community. There are enough tech people in here. If not, we all know some tech people. We have to just do the bidding, and we are going to go from there. But I definitely know that the county commission does endorse or enforce more labor or functions for minority workers. So we want to do minority work for everyone, so that everyone can understand what the Shelby County Clerk's office really is all about. I have a plan. I want to implement the plan. I have an outside-the-box approach, because my thing is when things need to be done, they need to be done. We can't play around with it. And so if you hadn't early voted, please, please, please early vote for Harold C. Smith. I'm running as an independent candidate. However, I've been a Democrat all my life. I was the treasurer of the Democratic Party. I was the fundraising chair of the Democratic Party, so I know about money. However, I just decided that I was not going to get into the polluted race early on. Let me do the long race. And so this is the long race. Thank you. I need your support, and I would love your support.
Thank you so much again to all of the candidates. We appreciate all of you just giving us an idea. We're going to start the questioning. If you can pass the microphone this way. I know Pastor Earl Fisher has some questions for some of the candidates. We'll start with this pastor. We know all of the pastors here want to try to ask some questions of the candidate. And so we're going to start over here with Pastor Fisher, and we'll work our way around. Again, I told you we have a variety of churches here. We've got some mega church pastors here, and we got some mini church pastors here like me. But we're grateful for them being here. So let's get this started, and hopefully we'll be able to get through a couple of rounds of questions, and we can go from there. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you, Pastor Hunter, I guess. So let me ask in terms of format for the question. Is this a question specifically for a candidate, or is this something? I feel like the first question should be something general that everybody could speak to. Everybody here at some point has described how they are running in a position that is going to impact black folks in black communities. And I know for some of you, you may not be able to explicitly describe what you would do in the office to help black people in particular, but I would hope those of you who can would, and those of you who can't would at least show the savvy that you are able to still do what you want to do in the office in ways that positively impact black people. So another way for me to ask it is this way. What is the primary function of the office that you are seeking, for those of us who may not know? What is the primary function of the office in which you are seeking, and what is it that you can promise today that you would do for the black community, since these are pastors of black churches, the black community in your office within your first term, so that if you are elected to office and you don't do what you're about to promise to do, people like me will be working to get you out of office in the next election cycle. Everybody clear on the question? All right, so what is it that your office was the primary function of the office that you are seeking, and what is it that you are committing to do for the black community within your first, well, unless you're getting reelected, then you can't say what you're doing in your first term. Say what you're going to do in your next term. Or what you've been doing, so that we don't have to run somebody against you. No, I'm just playing. So thank you for the opportunity to ask the question.
I guess I'll take a bite of this apple first. As state representative, our primary functions are to come up with the state laws. All of the majority of the laws that we pass at the state capitol, they have statewide implications going from Memphis all the way to Bristol, except for some of those unconstitutional laws that they try to push down our throat. As a state representative, one of the things that I promise to continue to do is to fight for our black small businesses as well as our black contractors. This past year, there was a bill that came across our committees, and what that bill was supposed to do is end affirmative action in the state of Tennessee. Now, those of you who are students of history and understand that affirmative action didn't affect black people the way it was advertised. There was the other groups that benefited from that more than we did. However, those programs are still needed to be in place because they were meant to be corrective action, but the corrections were never made. So to wipe away that program altogether would take us back a long way. Even in committee, I brought up some stats. So in 2003, they gave stats on how many black contractors do we have bidding on and receiving state contracts, and that number was 0.3%. That's 0.3%. Now in 2019, they ran those stats again, and it was 3.3%. Now, if you hear those numbers, you say, hey, that's improvement, right? Well, we're talking about a state where we make up 20% of the population. So we have so many big things coming to Tennessee. Jobs are good, but if we get enough black contracts, we can hire whoever we want. So my goal is to make sure that I stay in contact with you all, so that if you have a member or if you have someone in the community who can fill some of these contracts, because we have this forward blue oval city coming to Tennessee, and you know how big it is, because anytime they try to take a small town's charter, because money's coming, that means that's a lot of money coming. And just so happened, my mother's from Mason, Tennessee. So I took it kind of personally when they tried to take their charter. Matter of fact, we've had meetings with our Secretary of State as well as our comptroller about this whole deal. And they said that going forward that they would try to be fair. But I need you all to help me hold them accountable, so we can put their feet to the fire, so they can do what they said they would do. So that's what we're working on thus far. I'll be brief. This past year, I was able to pass one of the most substantial pieces of legislation in a long time. It's been carried many times, but this time we actually got across the finish line, and that bill was to end solitary confinement for pregnant women. And as I've done prison tours over the last 2 years, you find out that they were only putting certain type of women in solitary confinement. You know, if you see the stats on who was in solitary confinement, those are black women. So we wanted to make sure that we got that passed. We had bipartisan support, because our numbers at the state capitol right now, we have 26 Democrats and 73 Republicans. And out of the 26 Democrats, only 16 are black. So out of 99 members, we only have 16 black members. So It's a challenge being behind enemy lines, but we try to forge those relationships so we can get done the things that we need for our communities. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to comment on that question, Ms. Fitzgerald?
Okay, so I'm running for judge in criminal court too. So that courtroom deals with murder cases, serious felonies, some misdemeanors. So the primary function of what a judge does, when we look at sports and you know, baseball, basketball, we have the referee. So that's kind of what the judge is. But the purpose of the judge is to apply the laws fairly and impartially to everyone. Also, they're supposed to follow the law. And so the second part of that question is, what can you do for black and brown people? So as a judge, black folks. Okay, I got you. Black folks. So as a judicial candidate, we can't make promises as to what we're going to do. But if we look at what my platform is, fairness, dignity, and respect. And so the reason that I'm running for judge is because I noticed that the majority of the people that come through the system look like me and we're not treated the same. So I'm going to make sure that everyone who comes in the courtroom, no matter their race, no matter their sex, no matter how much money they have, no matter who their attorney is, going to be treated fairly, and that they're going to be treated with dignity and respect.
Okay. So I'm Tiffany Perry, again, running for District 6 School Board. The primary responsibilities of the school board, as some of you as educators may know, we are responsible for overseeing the budget and the financials of Memphis Shelby County Schools, as well as we are the employer of one person in the district. We are responsible for the superintendent, so the leadership. But do not get it twisted. While we have one employee, we are employed by the people. So that means all of you, the parents, the community. And so my first responsibility is always going to be to ensure I am listening to the needs of my community. I am listening to the needs of my parents, and that I am utilizing the data to make sound decisions in the best interest of the children, not only in District 6, but all over Memphis Shelby County. But what I can promise you all, or I can't say promise, but what I can guarantee based off my platform is that I am running this race to hold leadership accountable. It is high time in this city that we stop with the smoke screens and the smokes and mirrors, and we have some transparency about where our budget dollars are going. If we can appropriately allocate funds and allocate our budget, because it's not that the money isn't there, it is how the money is being used, which is the problem. And if we can look at our budget, I manage a $50 million endowment. I am used to managing $1 million budgets in my previous experience. If you look at our budget dollars and the funds are allocated appropriately, we have the opportunity to not just fix ensuring our teachers and students have the resources that they need, but we can address teacher retention if we pay them fairly and equitably. We can address some of the issues with our failing school buildings and all of the deferred maintenance. There are so many issues that we can address just by better managing the money. Also ensuring that we look at pre-K in a different way, because right now in Memphis Shelby County, pre-K is needs-based. Well, there has been study after study after study that has told us all children need pre-K. The earlier you can expose them to early childhood learning and literacy, the better off you are setting them up for their entire academic experience. So those are the things that I can guarantee based on my platform that I will address.
All right, we'll take Mr. Williams, and then we'll take a representative of Mr.
One
Sugar.
thing I can say, because I guess I'm old, is that I am unbought and unbossed. I do not have to answer to anyone but the good master right now, because I have served my time. I have done what is right by children. I have done what is right by this school system. But when you have parents who cannot even get a listening ear at that school system, something is wrong. When you have schools that are only closing in African American communities, something is wrong. It is a grand scheme. People get paid for these things that they do. There's a person on the school board who's made millions of dollars off of Shelby County Schools property. He made some right here in Whitehaven when he sold Graves Elementary. 99 acres for $99,000. I would have bought it. So the idea is you have to have somebody who is not indebted to, who does not owe these folk anything, and who intends to do what is right. By children, by the employees. I've gone to the Shelby County School Board in my position as the executive director of the 6,000 member teacher union and told them, we don't have a contract. The law requires us to have one. You issued us a contract with no money on it. What kind of contract is that? They did absolutely nothing. Well, we'll just pay the penalty. We don't need that. If you don't have enough sense to be on a board and operate as a person with dignity and respect and have your own brain and your own thoughts and your own money, you don't need to be there. You don't need to be down there begging for what is right. And that's what we have. We have people who take money. There's a fund, and I don't know how many of you know this. Every board member gets to give out $100,000 as they please, to whomever they please. One board member, who is the chair, gave her child's class $10,000 for a field trip. That is wrong. That is wrong on every level because it does not serve every child. Everything we do is for equality purposes. I wouldn't close another school in a black community if my life depended on it. Because so goes the school, so goes the community. And we need our schools, we need our churches. We don't need to shut down our school, our communities. For what? Where are we going? So that would be my priority. Don't bring me in, unless you bring in some white stations and some, don't bring me into schools to close. Because I am not for closing schools on children who desperately need them.
Thank you. Representative Tariq Sugarman.
Dr. Fisher, thank you for the question. First of all, juvenile court was established roughly 60 years ago here in Shelby County. It processes roughly 2,000 black children a year through juvenile court for either criminal issues or either disciplinary issues or such like. Its operating budget is currently at $14 million. It has 151 employees, including 14 magistrates that serve on the bench. And you do not see white children being introduced to juvenile court. Those suburban children are adjudicated within their own districts and in their own communities and not referred downtown. Juvenile court also services the guardian ad litemships, child support, and custody issues. And we will also see that number increase now of the Supreme Court's ruling on Roe versus Wade. Child support and custody issues will almost triple here in Shelby County. Any cases that cannot be reconciled or heard in juvenile court is oftentimes referred to circuit court or is a chancery for those who have the legal means to afford high quality legal representation. Now, I have expressed some thoughts and concerns with Judge Sugarman. My background has, of course, been in this community my whole life. And as a former state director for TDOC, Tennessee Department of Corrections, over the 14 prisons, I served over every chaplain in every prison, 72 of them to be exact. And one of those programs that I implemented was one called the Take One program, to where we asked over 14,000 churches here in Tennessee to take one inmate as they exited prison for mentorship. Well, we could implement a program similar to that in juvenile court. We have over 2,800 black churches here in Shelby County. Believe it or not, 2,800. And for us not to be able to allow children to at least have a fighting chance for mentorship, to give them something positive to do. Now, that sounds like repetitive rhetoric, but it's a personal story for me. That's why I had an interest in trying to help Judge Sugarman throughout these years, 2014 and now. I was personally mentored by black men who was the principal of Jeter High School, T.J. Toney, and assistant principal at Sherwood, Mr. Freeland Brown, at Mount Olive Cathedral CME Church. And they sent me to school, and they made sure that I had the resources I needed in order to succeed. And we have now lost a generation of those black men and women who are willing to help mentor and mold young black children in high school to ensure they get through trade school or college and wherever. And thus, we see what we see now. We also saw that with Reverend Arturo Williams. One of those issues was that the young man was on an ankle bracelet, but juvenile court only currently monitors children for 1 8-hour shift when they should have been being monitored 24 hours a day to prevent this. So, yes, that is at the top of Judge Sugarman's priority list, is to ensure that we re-implement and establish a very strong mentorship program for our black children.
All right, thank you. We have a couple more, and then we'll allow the pastors to ask some additional questions. We'll go with Spriggs and then Page.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm answering your question. So as a school board member, Tiffany pretty much summed up what our responsibilities are. And another aspect of that is we inform policy. And so it's really important when you talk about, because my platform, like, I'm passionate about all children receiving an equitable education. But in Memphis Shelby County schools, we have over 70% of our students that are African American. So we can talk about what we're going to do for black children. And for me, I'm going to do what I'm going to continue to do what I'm already doing. And so I am a mentor. I think that it's really big, that you serve from a place that you serve from your inner being. You serve from a place that is you. And so with mentorship, my husband and I, we teach children we teach black children, I can be specific, how to play chess, because a lot of our children don't know how to think 2 and 3 steps ahead. They short term, real quick, boom, and already making a bad decision, and then they in a position they gotta go see Fitzgerald when she get elected as judge. You know, and so teaching them how to think ahead, that's something I promise to do. I promise we teach them about the stock market. You know, financial literacy. We need basic skills, and part of my platform is around college and career readiness. A lot of people have taken an interest in that, and we talk about what we've done in the district around certifications. But because that's the work that I currently do, I work with schools that are in the bottom 5%, and we specifically employ equitable, continuous improvement practices with around success indicators. We want success indicators specifically coming from African American, Latinx, and economically disadvantaged. When you look at it, our economically disadvantaged, majority of them are black. And so I can answer this question, even though my platform is about all children receiving an equitable education. Equity is not equality. And so in our district, you look at this 17% these gains that we made, this 6% gain that we making and we clapping about, and you really look into the data, you're going to find that the same schools are the same ones that's performing. So I can talk about what I want to do for black children. We want to put more quality teachers in front of our lowest performing students. It has to happen. Our lowest performing students are getting out, just to be honest, I know other way to be, are getting our worst teachers. And I see it. How do I know? I have 15 years of experience, not only in education. I've taught math and science in public school and charter school. I've coached teachers, and hundreds of teachers in over 50 schools. I've done observation after observation, and you're saying the same thing. The children that needs the most are the ones with the worst teachers. It's just no other way to put it. And so that is what I promise. I promise to really advocate for quality teachers where they are needed most. I promise to partner with our churches. Since we're among pastors, I can say this: our people perish because of a lack of knowledge. One of my priorities is around transparency. Transparency means giving people information in a way that they can understand it. A lot of times I'm sitting in the meetings and the information is over my head. And so know if majority of our parents, I used to teach adult ed, and so I know that a lot of our parents need GEDs. you know, they're going back to school. And so if we're talking about true transparency, we're talking about bringing that all the way down where they not can only understand it, but they can have input. Because when you have input, you're more invested. And so those are some of the things that I promise to do for our black children.
All right, Ms. Page, and then we'll move down here.
Once again, David Page, District 6 School Board. To answer the question, the board members, I consider the board members to be policy makers, policy enforcers. Of course, we deal with the budget annually. Here's what I'm going to do for this community. We're already doing mentoring. When I was in school, I was a troubled youth. Pastor J.L. Nettles used to come by the school every Friday and get those bad students, which I was in that group. So what I'd like to see you all do is come back to the education facilities, the schools within your district, and mentor those kids. But here's the one thing I want to do different. I think because you're mentoring, you should get paid to mentor. So make sure that you all go through the vendoring process with the school district. And if you have any problem, that be for sure to call on David Page to make sure you get through that process. And once you get through that process, the kids and the parents that you all be mentoring, because we need parenting help. So you mentor the parents and you mentor the kids. And I want to make sure that you all are paid for that. And that's what I'll start working on day one. Thank you so much.
All right, Smith here.
Again, my name is Harold C. Smith, and I'm running for Shelby County Clerk. The clerk's office is responsible for your license plates, your renewals. You can become a notary through the Shelby County Clerk's office, so you can start your business. They are responsible for giving business licenses. A lot of people don't know that, and they go in Shelby County and don't have a business license and get shut down real quick. They collect liquor tax. So we have agents that go and collect liquor tax for the Shelby County Clerk's office. So I know what the county clerk does, but what I'm asking is to get some more transparency. And so what I want to do, and I really feel that having the total transparency of what the clerk's office does needs to be publicized. I believe in, I'm not a career politician, I've been an educator, so I believe in report cards. I believe in midterm and final grades every year. So everybody, every political figure, from a judge to a commissioner to a councilwoman or man, clerk, give them a report card. Somebody I know that Reverend Fisher, you can do this, Doc. You can give them the accountability, make them accountable. My whole goal is to make sure that the clerk's office has the reports done and that they are accurate. If you don't know, it's public record, but the Shelby County Clerk has not produced a formal, conducive, full report ever. But the office still gonna run. And so with the county commission, I believe that I can work with the elected county commission and making sure that we are doing the things that are conducive to Shelby County and black people. Again, when I first started in talking, I talked about the getting contracts. And if there's a contract going through my office, then we need some minority participation. I need to see it on paper. And I don't need to see it, minority participation, outside of Shelby County. See, that's another thing. A lot of people, we can import black people to run stuff. No, let's go. We have the base here. We have people here. We have companies here. Now, they may not have the majority of the contract, but they need to be minorities on contracts. And I think that that's a necessity to grow economic wealth, because the Chamber of Commerce is effective by the Shelby County Clerk's office. There are a lot of people that are still willing to let the clerk do what the clerk does because their money is not affected. See, right now, our long lines, we're getting the upheaval because everybody's standing in these long lines and it's hot, and people are getting sick, and then the